Welcome to South Asia. South Asia Maps is an intellectual Kshatriya channel, is an educational channel. At South Asia Maps, your presenter J. Reddy will bring you a deeper understanding and knowledge of South Asian region in the form of maps, graphs and icons. Today's topic of discussion is Indian railway system at 1871. Excuse me for my allergies. And before that, if you are following me at other social media channel, you can go to South Asia Maps. J. Reddy brings South Asian heritage to you in the form of icons and maps. There are more than 120 or so videos and they are well designed to bring a deeper understanding of the knowledge of South Asia in the form of icons, images and pictures, and you can explore there further and give your comments and suggestions. Today's topic of discussion is Indian Railways at 1871. After the completion of this topic, you will get a very broader idea of the railway system built by the East India Company Bahadur, the predecessor of British Raj, the crown rule of the British in India. So this is the railway map of India round about 1871. These are the Governor Generals of India who are responsible for building the railway line in the earlier part. The railway line in India was built in 3 or 4 stages during the British time. During Hardinge time, the railway lines were started. Hardinge left and demitted office round about 1848. That is the British didn't annex Punjab at that time. They were in Lahore, controlled the Khalsa Sarkar. He was replaced by Lord Dalhousie, who ruled nearly 8 years. At Dalhousie's time, actually, the railways in Britain were started around about 1800 after industrialization started. Dalhousie was a very prominent person. He was the director of the Board of the Trade that overlooked this industrialization process as well as railway introduction in Britain. And he came to India as a Governor General of Fort Williams at Calcutta, the British Governor General, predecessor title of Viceroy. At that time, the railways building started in India. So when the Dalhousie demitted office around about 56 February, that is almost 14 months or 15 months before the mutiny breakdown, there was a primitive form of railway system from Madras to Arcot. In the Madras Presidency, from Bombay to Thane in the Bombay Presidency, from Howrah to Raniganj in Bengal Presidency. This is the Ganga River and Padma River. The Howrah, Hooghly and Bhagirathi is the distributary of Ganga near Malda district, Murshidabad at Farakka, and railways were built mostly on the western side of Howrah. At that time the technology was there. Calcutta is on the eastern side of Howrah. I will talk later. When it's built, the British viceroys used to take ferry from Calcutta to Howrah and used to go take the train and go to Delhi. That means essentially stop at Ghaziabad and the initial stages in the Dove, then take a ferry and go to Calcutta. That's how the railways were built. Mostly at that time you see the railways to Howrah. That is a twin city across Calcutta, separated by river Bhagirathi or river Hooghly. So initially the British government guaranteed certain amount of the money. So if there is a certain amount of the profit, lot of private companies were started. These are the important companies you should keep in mind when we talk about the railways in India. GIPR, that is Great Indian Peninsular Railway. Then MRC, GIPR was headquarters at Bombay in the west coast. Madras Railway Company headquartered at Madras in the east coast. And East India Railway Company at Calcutta. These are the most important railway companies. GIPR, MRC, East India Railway. Initial stages, they built a large network of railway lines. And here in the initial stages, I am showing BBCI, Bombay-Baroda Central Indian Railway. Bombay-Baroda Central Indian Railway that built railway line from Bombay to Baroda. That was a princely state, also called Vadodara, across river Reva or Narmada in the Gujarat plains. And there is also Great South India Railway, GSRI, that was headquarters at Tiruchirappalli here in the Kaveri Delta. That is, it built first a narrow, the meter gauge, broad gauge railway, then converted into narrow gauge from, that is, Nagapattinam to Tiruvaruru, Tanjavuru and Tiruchirappalli, connected to E-Road on Kaveri River to the main line. Essentially, you have to remember East India Railway here, GIPR Peninsular Railway here, and Madras Railway Company here. Those are the three important ones. Hard danger time 44 to 48. When the first the mutiny broke in May 1857 in Meerut, there was round about 200 miles of the railway line. These are the miles. And you remember by 1859 the British built the railway of 5,000 miles. That means they sanctioned and built, I think, round about 7,000 miles or so. During 1871, they built a large amount of railway. When the mutiny broke down, there was round about 200 miles. That played a very important role in suppressing the mutiny. So the British realized the importance and built very rapidly the railway line. By 59, there was a 5,000 mile railway line. These are the miles you have to keep in mind. When British partitioned India and left India, they had round about 43,000 miles again. If you want kilometers, convert into multiplying by 1.6. So 43 means, let's say, British partitioned India in 47, left India in 47. British didn't partition. It is the Islam that is responsible partition of India. So that is a politically sensitive subject. A lot of Indian leaders doesn't talk about. They put the blame on the British because British are not the voters in India. That is a different topic. 47 partition, remember 47 means round about 47 roughly, 43 thousand miles. At the time Pakistan got 8,000, India got 35,000, together round about 43 miles, not kilometers. When the British left in India, there were 3 railway systems which are very sophisticated or very developed in the planet Earth. One is European railway system, other is North American railway system, predominantly United States and Canada and Mexico. Third is South Asian railway system, that is India, Bangladesh, Pakistan. That is round about 43,000 miles, round about 70,000 or so kilometers. That was a very sophisticated railway system. That is also one reason why the British were reluctant to partition India. They partitioned under circumstances when the Congress surrendered to Islamic gangsterism, rioting by the Muslims in India. That is a different story. So the Dalhousie left India 56, at the time round about 200 miles or so. Then Canning came. In the Canning's time, there was a mutiny. Afterwards, the Governor General of East India Company was designated as a Viceroy because the government was taken over by the Crown. Canning was both the Governor General as well as the Viceroy. Then Elgin came. In 62, Elgin died very short term at Dharmashala, now in Himachal Pradesh, in the Bias Valley or historic Kangra district, south of Dhauladhar mountain range. And there was a short Governor Generals, Napier and Denison. The most important Governor General later was John Lawrence. John Lawrence was previously the Chief Commissioner, at that time Chief Commissioner means a governor of British Punjab. After the annexation of Punjab, that was done in Dalhousie's time. Lawrence's time, the lot of railway line was built, and Mayo's time we are stopping at 1871. So Hardinge, Dalhousie, Canning, Elgin, Lawrence, John Lawrence. His brother Henry Lawrence, who is he was also Governor General of British Punjab for a short time before him. So these are the Governor Generals. At mutiny time we have 200 miles. In 59, after mutiny, nearly 5,000 miles were built. By 771, much more rail were built. At partitions, and this is the length of the railway lines in India. Let's go over 1871. This is the first phase. Defense was very important consideration for the British to build the railway. And we have to keep in mind the railway building also has ideological implications. These are the unintended consequences or intended consequences by the British. The way you look at it, lot of people are not aware of it. The intellectual Kshatriyas of India, Sri Ram Goel, Sri Ram Swarupji, Sita Ram Goel, Coenrod Elst, the works indicate this. They played a very key role in the Hindu awakening in the later part of 20th century, called Trimurti of Hindu Renaissance. You can look at their work and appropriate their websites, Voice of India, you can Google. So here I am mentioning that because railway lines have ideological implications, legacy. Mahayogi Ram Swarup, Sitaram Goel, Coenrod Elst. When Muslims ruled India, Islamic imperialism was very crude, very rude, very violent, openly aggressive. Under British imperialism and Christian imperialism, it was very subtle, very intelligent, very sophisticated. They used education to subvert. Education, universities, canal colonies in Doab, Uttar Pradesh, United Province and Punjab, and railways. They played very important role in molding the minds of India. British ruled India through what is called Indology. So there is an intellectual surrender of Hindus, disarmament of Hindu intellectualism, emasculation of Hindu intellectualism, disembowelment of Hindu intellectualism. This is to say, I am not saying that railways were responsible for it, but railways, along with their defense mechanism, their conquering of India, their university education, introducing the social sciences, under the missionary influence, they all played an important role. So railways played a very important role in the development of Macaulayism, Nehruism, today's Macaulayites, secularism, Khalistani separatism, large-scale conversion of Hindus into Christianity, and Sikh separatism, all are one part, and railways played a very important role. That's the point I would like to mention. So, going back to the railway line, by 1871, British connected. Before that, first railway line was built even by 62 or so. I have mentioned that, and I had other videos. There are more than half a dozen or so videos. You can look at them. These videos you can look at under the railway playlist. I talked about Howrah-Delhi, number 3 Grand Code, and I also discussed about the main line, number 2, and Howrah-Delhi main line SahibGanj loop, the first line, and second line, the main line, that is the main line, the Grand Code, and I also talked about the Bombay Madras Railway Line 1871, extensively before, you can look at it, and I also added the Madras and Malabar link, that is a Calicut link. That is also very important. Actually, the Calicut link was done much earlier. The Malabar Calicut railway line was even 1862, during the Canning time itself, within 1 or 2 years after mutiny. So, the main line from, say, Howrah, we discussed why the railway lines mostly built from Howrah side, that is the other side of river Bhagirathi or Hooghly. Howrah to Delhi, and Delhi to Amritsar, Lahore and Multan. That is the main line. They connected Bengal Presidency, United Province and British Punjab. That is a very, very important connection. Of course, they didn't connect yet to Peshawar, to Jamrad Khyber Pass yet. That will come few years later, 1871. 1871, they also connected from, that is Bengal Presidency, that is Howrah, to Patna, Allahabad, that is Prayag, Jabalpur and Bhusawal and Jalgaon, Manmat, Bombay. That is Bengal Presidency to Bombay Presidency. Very important connection. Before that, already a railway link was built from Bombay Presidency to Madras Presidency via Pune, Sholapur, Wadi, Guntakal, Arakonam, Madras. And before that, British already connected Madras to Malabar coast. This is the Malabar coast. That is Bypore region. Bypore is round about 10 or 15 kilometers south of Calicut. That is an important town, Calicut district or Kozhikode district, Jamorins area, where Vasco da Gama, Portuguese navigator come pirate from a priest, landed that area, Bypore. Later they extended to Calicut, later to Tallicherry and Kasaragod to Mangalore. That is a different story. So by 1871, this railway was built by Madras Railway Company. This is Jolarpet junction. Later they built an extension through Kolar Plateau connected to Bangalore and Bangalore Plateau. Remember, in the Mysore princely state, the resident lived in Bangalore because it is high elevation and very pleasant climate at that time. Less people lived there. Now Bangalore has around about 9 million people, lot of urbanization. You will feel a different atmosphere now. They connected Jolarpettai through Kolar region to Bangalore. Here the junction is called E-Road. E-Road to Karur. This is a meter gauge railway line. Karur, Tiruchirappalli, Tanjavur, Tiruvarur and Nagapattinam coast. That is south of Karaikal and a French East India Company enclave here. So Madras to Bypore and Madras to Bombay. Other important railway line in the western side is Karachi to, this is the Indus River, Karachi to Kotri. This side Kotri, across Kotri there is a city called Hyderabad. Hyderabad, Kotri are like twin cities, you can say, almost like Howrah and Calcutta are twin cities. Like Noida and Delhi, twin cities. It stopped there. And later link came from later few years. We are talking about 1871. And by 1871, Bombay, Baroda, Central India Railway built a line that went to Bombay, Bassein, Valsad, Antapati. It touched Surat, then it touched Baraj at Narmada River, crossed Narmada at Taboi, Anand. It went to Baroda princely state ruled by Gaikwads. Later other lines were built. So what are the railway lines? And here I am mentioning the eastern side of river Hooghly. We have Calcutta and Ranagarh, that is in the Nadia district. Then Kustia, and along Ganga, Rajbari, Goel, Undo. Goel Undo is a god where Ganga river, Brahmaputra river meet. From Goel Undo one can take a ferry, go to Dhaka. One can also take a ferry, go to SahibGanj, Dhubri and Guwahati, even up to Dibrugarh also. From Goel Undo one can go to take a ferry to Chandpur and Bhairab to Sylhet, close to Assam. One can take a ferry and go to Chittagong. That is Goel Undo, eastern part of river Hooghly. From Goel Undo, one can take the ferry, go to Rajashahi and Nawabganj, and go to Rajmahal, SahibGanj, Patna, and go to Mirzapur, Chunar to Allahabad. That was the old way of transportation, ferry. This is the SahibGanj loop line. This is the Madhupur Devagar line, the main line between Calcutta to Patna. From Patna and Sonpar, Arra and Buxar, Mughal Sarai. There is Mughal Sarai here, across which there is Benares, Varanasi. The initial railway line doesn't cross it and went to Allahabad, took a turn to Jabalpur, and Allahabad crosses the Yamuna river, goes to Kanpur, then Farrukhabad and goes to Etawah and Tundla, and across Tundla, Yamuna river, Agra. Later a link was built, and the main line went to Tundla to Ghaziabad, Aligarh, Ghaziabad, and Meerut, Muzaffarnagar, Saharanpur. At Saharanpur, it crosses Yamuna river near Jagadri Yamuna Nagar, Ambala, and Kanna Rajpura, and Ludhiana. This Sutlej river, Ludhiana here, and Philor Jalandhar and Amritsar to Lahore, Lahore to Multan via Khanewal region, Shahiwal and Lodran and Harappa. So these are the main railway. Howrah-Delhi railway line was built. This the line, first line, 1866, SahibGanj line loop. Then the second main line was built 6 years later via Kiul, Lakhisarai, that is Devagar, Jamtara and Madhupur regions. Excuse me. Howrah, Allahabad, Bombay. Howrah, Allahabad, Bombay line was built in 70. And from, of course, the short line, Howrah to Nagpur, Bhusawal to Bombay, came much later, round about 90. We are not talking about that. Madras to Calicut, that is Bypore, was 1862. Madras to actual Calicut came to 1888 extension. That is in brief, and we also talked about the ideological implications of building the railway lines, emasculation of Hindu intellectualism, intellectual surrender of the ancient Hindu society before British imperialism, which was not done during the Islamic imperialism, and Muslim conquistadors ruled India for nearly from 700 Qasim's invasion of Sindhu to 1700 death of Aurangzeb at Ahmednagar in the Balghat region of today's Maharashtra. That was the railway lines. We look at them in detail here. And this is the map. I am showing the same map I have redrawn for your convenience simply. So we have the Calcutta and Bardhaman SahibGanj loop, and this is the SahibGanj line to Patna, and Son river and around Buxar. This is Chunar, Allahabad, this is Jabalpur, and we have here the Jalgaon or Bhusawal junction, Bhusawal and Nagpur line to here the Borgat Pass and Sarta, the Thalgat Pass, and to Bombay, the to Baroda here Karachi to Kotri, Hyderabad, and Lahore to Multan, Lahore to Saharanpur to Delhi. At that time, this side of Yamuna river didn't had a railway line. They built the railway line later. So the railway line, if you go to digital South Asia maps, you can stop here and search for Historical Atlas of South Asia by Skwageberg, very sophisticated atlas. Go for modern demographic economic revolution. Remember, you retire at 60 and you double that age around about 126, 60, you go to railway network map. Here we will talk about our presentation, the current presentation. Excuse me. They're talking about round about 1872. That's the chronological time we are looking for. Very easy to look here, convenient to see. We have a Howrah, Calcutta. This is the Ranaghat and Kustia, Raspberry to Goel line. This is the Dhaka here, Chittagong here, and this is the SahibGanj loop. This is the Patna here, Varanasi, actually Mughal Sarai, that is Din Dayal Puram today, Prayag, Allahabad, then Meher, Manikpur, and Katni, Murwara, Jabalpur here. This is the Jalgaon junction, Wardha to Nagpur here, Jalgaon junction, Manmad, across the Sahyadris you get Bombay. Other line from Bombay, Pune, Sholapur, Wadi to Hyderabad later, and Arkonam Junction, Madras here. From Madras to Arkonam, Jolarpettai to Bangalore, and Jolarpettai to E-Road. E-Road Junction to Kodumudi and Karur, Tiruchirappalli, Tanjavur, Tiruvarur to Nagapattinam, and E-Road to Coimbatore, and Walayar and Shoranur to Bypore. Later they built an extension to Cochin, and later they built other land from Madurai region to Kollam region, Shankota Tenkasi Pass, and this is Bombay, Surat, Baroda, and Ahmedabad. Karachi to Kotri to Hyderabad. Then we have Kanpur, this is Allahabad, Kanpur, this is Tundla, and Ghaziabad and Meerut, and cross the Yamuna river, Ludhiana here, Jalandhar, Ambala, Ludhiana, Jalandhar, Amritsar, Lahore, and Multan. So these are the important railway lines British built. I am showing this. Now this is the Pakistan railway line, so that you will have a very good clarity here. You have a Karachi here on Sindhu Sagar to Kotri, Kotri to Hyderabad. These are twin cities, right? The Sindhu River, Indus River. Later two parallel railway lines were built. One went to Nawab Shah to Rohri, other went to Kotri to Larkana to Sakar. These are twin cities, Rohri and Sakar, like Hyderabad and Kotri. We are talking about 1871, right? This railway line, there is a gap here. We are at that time 1871. The important point is to Delhi, Amritsar, Attari, and we have Lahore here, Lahore. Main line 1871, Lahore, and Raiwind, and Pattoki, Wakara. Shahiwal is nothing but Montgomery district at that time. Here Shahiwal, the historic center, Harappa exists, and Chachwati and Harappa here. Then Kanewal, and the line stopped at Multan. This is the main line. Of course, later they built a railway line from Lahore, Raiwind, Kasur to Kota Radhakrishan to Pakpattan, Arifwala, Burewala, Vehari to Lodhran. Other railway line, there is a Batinda here and Firozpur here, Fazilka. From Fazilka, it was a British Punjab, right? Pre-partition time. We are talking about, this is the princely state of Bahawalpur, Bahawalnagar, and Chistian, Hasilpur, and Bahawalpur here. Later, from Multan to Lodhran, it crossed the Sutlej, Bahawalpur. Main line connected to Bahawalpur to Kanpur to Rohil. 1871, that doesn't exist, but I am showing you for clarity and for completion. So here we are looking at the same railway system. I will go through how that happened. So we have here, from Lahore, the main railway line went through Multan, right? Lahore to Raiwind and Wakara, Shahiwal, Harappa here, Kanewal to Multan initially. From other side of Lahore to Amritsar, Attari, then went to, there is a Kapurthala princely state here, to Jalandhar, in the Jalandhar Doab are between the Bias River here and Sutlej River here. The Ludhiana is across Sutlej River, Phagwara and Phila. Then Sutlej, Kanna, Sarhind, Rajpura, Ambala. Ambala to Yamuna Nagar and Saharanpur to Muzaffarnagar to Meerut and Ghaziabad. The railway line stopped at Ghaziabad and they used to ferry and move the people to Delhi across the river. Later they built the railway bridge. We are talking about the initial stage. And from Ghaziabad to Aligarh and Goel and Tundla. Tundla will be somewhere here across Agra. Then Shikohabad, Etawah. Then to Kanpur, the main line, the Kanpur, and Fatehpur to Prayag Titraj. Only time the railway line crossed Yamuna to Prayag Titraj. From Prayag, we know the Jabalpur railway line goes here. From Prayag, it went to Mughal Sarai. It didn't cross initially to Varanasi. Mughal Sarai and Varanasi, you can consider few kilometers away. Mughal Sarai to Buxar, it crossed river Son river in Ara, and Patna, the initial line, across SahibGanj loop, here across river Ganga, then went to Burdwan region here. Other railway line, east of river Hooghly, went to Calcutta, Ranaghat here and Kustia. It went to Kustia, Faridpur and Nawabganj. Here there will be Goel Undo somewhere here. You can see Faridpur, Goel Undo will be somewhere here. Goel Undo will be there. And that is the railway line 1871. British built a fascinating railway lines connecting Bengal Presidency to Bombay Presidency to Madras Presidency, Madras to Malabar. So, this is J. Reddy, your presenter at South Asia Maps, and we'll discuss about the other railway systems later. Thank you very much for joining me today.